We will be using the box method of factoring to factor the given polynomial. Now before we do that, we always check to be sure that we cannot factor out a greatest common factor from the given polynomial. So we look here, x squared minus 3x minus 18. There's nothing that we can pull out in terms of a greatest common factor. So what we'll go ahead and do is follow the method. We write the first term, which is x squared, in the first box, and we write the last term, which is minus 18, in the last box. Okay, so this is just the general strategy. Now again, the next thing we do is we multiply the coefficients. So the coefficient of x squared is 1, so 1 times a minus 18 is a negative 18. Okay, now we want the factors of negative 18 such that when added or subtracted will give us this minus 3 here. So now, looking at this, we don't need to worry about positive and negatives. We'll worry about that in a minute. So first of all, let's just write out all the factors that will when multiplied will give us just 18. So we have 1 times 18 gives us 18. We have 2 times 9, which will give us 18. And we have 3 times 6, which will also give us 18. So I don't think there's any more combinations. Do you? So now, let's think about this for a minute. Which is the only set that will give us a difference of 3? Because in this case, because this is a negative here, we'll probably need to subtract somehow. So which is the only combination that will give us a difference of 3? Well, you probably guessed correctly. This right here, the 3 and the 6. So going back to our little thinking bubble here, the only way to get a negative is if we had a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive. So we're going to need to subtract these numbers. So suppose that we had negative 3 plus 6. Well, that equals a positive 3. And we needed a negative 3. So that doesn't work out. Suppose then we had a positive 3 and a negative 6. Well, that right there will give us a negative 3. And that's what we needed. So I'll write my signs in right here on my chart. The next thing to do is take these two numbers and fill them in the remaining spots in the box. Now it does not matter where they go. All you have to do is add an X right at the end of it. And so that's what I'm going to do. So now all this boils down to is us factoring using the greatest common factor. First we'll look at the rows and then we'll look at the columns. So we have x squared plus 3x. So looking at that, the only thing that we can pull out here is an x term. Since we have a 1 and 3 as coefficients, we cannot pull out a number. So I'm simply going to write an x. Now we have minus 6x minus 18. Well, we know that the greatest common factor here is a 6. And in this case, I'll write minus 6, since this number here is touching this box, and this box contains a negative number. Very well. Now we'll move on to factoring the columns using the greatest common factor. So x squared minus 6x. Well, the only thing they have in common here again is an x term. So we'll pull out an x. Again, this is also positive because of the fact that this box is positive. Now, looking at the 3x and the minus 18. Well, the greatest common factor here is a 3. And in this case, I'm going to write plus 3, since this number here is touching this box, and this box contains a positive value. So now, again, all I have to do is look at my numbers that are written on the outsides of my box, and I have factored the given polynomial. So my answer becomes x plus 3 times x minus 6. And of course, I advise you to FOIL this answer out to double check that it does equal x squared minus 3x minus 18. So these are our factors here. So this is the answer that we were looking for.